All right, how are you guys? Are you well? Is everyone fine? Hello. Oh, people are just quiet. I want to see you. Leslie Kim, Lizu, Darius. I want to see your faces. Kokang, I want to see your face before we start. Vinsley is always hiding. Always.
I can see my little sister.
I want them to greet me. Put on your videos. Let me see you guys. Let me see you guys. Lono, you've been hiding since you came in here. Hello, 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 hello.
Hello, hello.
How are you guys? How is your Sabbath? What's for lunch? What's for lunch?
Good food.
What was good food? Ice cream.
No.
All right, cool. So I will lend us over to Lael, our chief for today.
Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hi,
Today,
Lael.
our presenter is Uncle Makuya.
Hello, Lyle.
Hey, hello. Oh.
Ask us to pray.
Do you hear them?
Members.
No. Change your name here.
Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for the day and for that. We thank you for all you have done for us. May it please help us, guide us in every situation. Be with us, Lord. May it please. We thank you for all you have done for us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Our program is entitled Let's Architect with Ipfi. We'll ask questions after the program. It's your time, Uncle Makuya.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I hope you're well and I hope you're having a blessed Sabbath. I'm really happy to see all these young faces. I'm really happy to see all of you here, and I'm excited to actually teach you about architecture today. All right. I just want to know, am I audible? That's the first thing I want to know. Can you all hear me very clearly?
Yeah, we hear you.
And just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me clearly. Give me a thumbs up on your screen. I want to see that. Okay, everybody can hear me. And then the second thing I want you guys to do, can you mute your mics? Because I see some of the mics are not muted. I see on the Galaxy J4 call that yeah, there's the one phone over here that's okay, it's muted. And Shepherd, I see there are people that want to go into the waiting room. I don't know what to do with them over there. Will you deal with them?
Yes, we have a team that deals with them. Don't worry about them.
Oh,
just leave those
okay,
people.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. So then let's jump into my presentation. I'm going to share my screen right now, right? Let me just do this very quickly. Let's do that. I'm going to do that. Just a few stuff I want to turn off over here. Disable. Okay. And okay, I just want to put that over there. Shepherd, is the camera good? Everything well?
Yes, everything's fine. Yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'll begin my presentation. So hi everyone. Yes, our presentation today, as you heard from Lyle, is entitled Let's Architect with Ipfi, all right? And before I go into the presentation, I'll just tell you a bit about myself. From a family of 5, mom and dad. I've got 2 sisters. I happen to be the only boy in the family. I'm the middle kid also. So yeah, my big brother and the little brother. If there are things that I enjoy doing, I personally love drawing a lot of things. And I enjoy listening to music, and also I enjoy meeting new people every now and then. Yeah. And now I'll jump into the presentation. Oh, Shepard, I just want to ask you one more thing. Every time, whenever someone wants to join, I can see that. Oh, I'll try. Okay, that's hidden. All right. So yeah, moving into our presentation, I'll start off with our presentation. Oh, by the way, the house that you see in front of you, that was my 3rd-year project when I was studying at the Durban University of Technology. We had to design a house for a family that moved into Durban, and the site was just very tight, meaning that was like very narrow and all. But this was my proposal to the family actually. And yeah, it's called a dwelling place for the soul. And you might think that I didn't really like, what can I say? I didn't, you might, you might think that I was always perfect, but then I was not always perfect at drawing these houses. You know, I also started off very simple like you guys. For example, I'm just gonna now start with my presentation. These these are my pictures when I was small, when I was in preschool. You know, I my dad used to encourage me when I was small that whatever I draw, I need to keep it. So there's this file that I have, and it's got a lot of drawings. You know, whenever I apply to university, I applied for architecture, I would use some of the drawings actually from this file, but not these drawings, because I mean these are drawings that I did when I was very small. But yeah, I also started off somewhere when I used to draw. I used to draw very I look at this house and it just makes me laugh actually. But I used to draw also very weird houses, you know, but I had sort of like a basic understanding of what is a house, you know. And yeah, moving on the years, sorry, moving on with the years, I started exploring paint. There's this, I don't know if you guys use it today, but there's this application on your Windows laptop. It's called Paint. That's where I would normally draw like my other drawings, like when I wanted to see how real it could be. And this was what, 2006, roughly. I think I was in grade 4 when I was doing this. Yeah, I was in grade 4. So yeah, I've always I've always wanted to like just draw houses, everything houses, every now and then, you know. And when time went on and on, you know, it becomes a craft that one starts to perfect over time, you know, provided that I have a better understanding of how things are done, you know. And yeah, this was like one of my favorite houses. I didn't design this from scratch, I'll admit that to you. But it was a house that I actually looked at and I was like, let me see if I could draw something similar to that, you know. And I realized that I could, you know, come up with something close to it, you know. But it's one of my favorite drawings growing up. But now let's jump into our topic for today. So just want to move this slightly up. So for our topic for today, like I said, it's Let's Architect with Iphi. The word, of course, is architecture. You know, I tried to put a way. If you fail to pronounce this wrong word, I tried to put something very simple for you guys so that you're able to pronounce it, and it's pronounced as architecture. Yeah, that's how it's pronounced. This word. It's not a very big word whatsoever, but that's how you actually pronounce the word. And where did everything start? So everything started off. It started off way back. You know, when God created the heavens and the earth. And this is something that we get in the book of Genesis 1, verse 1. You know, in the 6 days of creation, God created everything that we see today, and it was good. It was beautiful. Things were lush. You know, things were just very lovely back then. Hey. And it happened sadly that our parents, you know, they were tricked by the devil himself, and eventually when they got tricked, they ate of the forbidden fruit and sin entered into the world. And that's why today we have, all of these bad things that are happening. We have people killing each other. We have people stealing from each other. We have all of these horrible things that are happening. But then we shouldn't feel hopeless, because now I'm showing you this very sad picture of the earth, provided I showed you the happy one before. But yeah, sin entered into the world, and yeah, the earth became a very unpleasant place. It still is today. It's not as perfect as it is. But then that's not the end, and that's just something that God wants to do with us today. God wants to God wants to fix the earth. God wants us to fix the earth with Him today as we speak, and there are many ways that we can contribute to this. There are other people who are deciding that, okay, I'll join the police force and I'll be part of the police that protect other people, those that harm other people. There are other people that are saying, no, I will do this, for the poor, for those that don't have food. I'll be there, handing out my food parcels and so forth. Everybody wants to do something. But then today, I'm not going to focus on those people. I'm going to bring in how can we use architecture, to fix the earth with God. So that's what we are going to focus on today. We're going to focus on the architecture part of how can we use it to actually fix the world that we live in today, right? And so before we also go into everything, allow me to say that growing up and watching also how people use this word today, you've got people that confuse architect and architecture. And allow me to say that there's a difference between the two. So we have the architect and architecture, right? You cannot call me architecture. I am a person. So a person goes with the word architect. What you do in the field, the things that you draw, the things that you design, that's what we call architecture. The buildings that you see, that's what we call architecture. So there's a big confusion. You would hear someone saying, hey, are you an architecture? No, there's no such thing, So you ask the person, are you an architect? That's the person, right? And the architecture is what? The discipline. It's everything that encompasses the buildings, that has to do with design, it has to do with, yeah, all of these structures that you see, right? So there's a difference between architect and architecture. Please don't forget that. I don't want people laughing at you guys. Please know this very well. So moving on, like I said earlier on, so the architect is a person who designs buildings and supervises their construction. What am I saying? This is the person that decides their whole life that, okay, I'm the one who's going to be designing all these beautiful buildings, these hotels that people see, these lovely schools that people see. Whatever you see around you is not by chance. Let it be the house that you live in, the school that you go to, the mall that you go to. Those things are designed by architects. Those are the people behind those beautiful buildings that you see on the highway, wherever you go, those are called architects. Those are the guys that design those buildings. Also, they don't just go as far as only designing it, but when they start building the building, the architect would come once in a while there and he would go like, okay, he would come and supervise for the construction of the building. Basically, what I'm saying is that he would come there and check, okay, they're putting the door where it's supposed to be, they're putting the window where it's supposed to be. So as much as he designs, he needs to check that when they're building it, they're doing the correct job. And moving on, we have, oh, by the way, the guy that I said is an architect earlier on, that is Bjarke Engels, one of my favorite architects. And yeah, this is a building that he designed. So moving on, then we start seeing the word architecture, right? So when we talk of architecture, this is the art or practice of designing and constructing buildings. So the things that you design, the things that are built, the things that people live in and whatsoever, that is what we call architecture, right? That's what we call architecture. So now that we know the difference between an architect and architecture, yeah, we can move on. So the question one might ask is how long, the question that one might ask is, sorry, the question that one might ask is, how long does it take to be an architect? Honestly, I used to think it takes 3 years. I once thought it takes 3 years, like as long as you have a degree in your hand, you are happy, you know, you are able to go out there and start designing and building. But the reality only starts hitting you when you start studying architecture, and they let you know that no, it doesn't take 3 years. You know, it actually takes roughly 8 hours. So what happens is that you'll go to university. I get there's what's this? There's primary or high school, then you come into university. So when you're in university, you would take your undergrad degree, and that would be a period of what, 3 years, yes, and when you study in architecture, and after that you would graduate, and you would have to be in the field for at least 1 year. 1 year, you'd have to be in the field for at least 1 year. This is you getting exposed to how things are run, you know, why things are done the way they are done. So that's your 1 year experience. But after that, you are able to now apply for your honors degree, and your honors degree puts you also on another level where you become a candidate senior architectural technologist. Basically, this is a person who is able to understand everything technical, you know. This is a person who's able to understand things that are done technical in the architecture industry. They do also know what is design, but then they haven't grasped it fully, you know. But you, as a candidate, you would deal with everything that has to do with the technical part of architecture. And then after that, you would have your 1 year master's degree, and that's when you become a candidate architect. Just because we call you a candidate architect, it does not mean that you're a professional architect. So when you're a candidate, you're still going to have to work under someone every now and then for at least 2 years. 2 years. Once you're done with those 2 years, then you're a professional architect. So yeah, 3, 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry, it's not 8 actually, it's 7. But yeah, it's 8. Sorry. And then now we move to, since now you're a professional architect, let's say you finished your 8 years, right? You finished your 8 years now, and you're a professional architect. So what kind of buildings are you allowed to design? What kind of buildings are you allowed to go into and start designing from scratch, and, you know, deal with it without needing help from another architect? The kind of buildings that you'd be able to do are residential buildings, and residential buildings is what we would call your houses, your clusters, and your apartments. So over here, this is this would be the kind of houses that you'd be able to do. These would be the kind of apartments you'd be able to do, and this would be the kind of clusters that you'd be able to do. So when you become a professional architect, those are the things that you start designing or working on. And also you do your commercial buildings, right? Your office buildings, you would be able to be allowed to design such buildings. Your malls, you know, there's this beautiful mall that we have here. It's called the Mall of Africa. You'll be able to actually design that from scratch and choose where do you want your Woolworths, where do you want your Pick and Pay, where do you want your game. You are the one who is given control to design those spaces, right? So yeah, you're the one who design that. And you can go as far as doing airports. This is one of the airports that are currently being built in Beijing, if I remember properly, and it's done by the company of Did. So yeah, and also the other kind of buildings that architects would do, you can go into healthcare, your hospitals. Remember, I said that nothing is by chance. Someone has to sit down and say that we are designing this from scratch, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're adding that over there. Someone has to design these things. So your healthcare, your hospitals, your clinics, you like going on holidays, right? And when you get there, there's a nice fancy hotel, an architect had to come and design those things, you know. The public schools, universities, someone had to sit down and call his team together and say, guys, we need to design a place where children would be there, able to be there and learn throughout, and yeah, graduate at some point and also go and give back to the society out there. Basically, anything that is a building is designed by an architect. And And moving on. So not everything that architects design have to always be a square or have to be a rectangle, you know. You can go all out when you're doing design, you know. This is one of my favorite chapels that we have in South Africa. It's the Bostros Chapel, and it's a wedding chapel. You know, if you want to get married one day, I'd honestly love to get married here because it's very beautiful. But this is one of the best. I feel like it's one of the most amazing designs I've ever seen, honestly, in a very long time. You know, and personally, I still think the secret to getting such a very beautiful building was because that the architect based the idea of the building. He related it to a verse in the Bible. So that's going to be a homework to go check that what verse did this architect use in order to design such an amazing thing. Honestly, I feel like God was showing off here and saying, oh, you're using the Bible to design what a chapel. I'll also give you inspiration. And this was really lovely. I love this building. So yeah. So the question then now comes that, do architects only design buildings their whole life? um, that's a question that I also once had with myself, and I'm like, wait, does this mean that my whole life I'm gonna design buildings and buildings and buildings, you know? And the answer is a no, you know. Here's the nice thing about architecture, right? So an architect is someone who knows something about everything. You might not know, I'll repeat that. An architect is someone who knows something about everything, right? So whenever they ask him, they're like, hey, do you know about healthcare? He has to know. When they ask you, hey, do you know about space? He has to know. He has to give answers to nearly everything, you know, because when you design, you do not only design one particular thing, but you design a whole lot of things, right? So do architects only design buildings their whole life? And the answer is a big no. And I'm going to show you what other things can you do as an architect. So I don't know if you guys know this, but then the tallest motorway bridge, the Melau Viaduct, is in the world. In the world was designed by an architect. So architects go as far as designing bridges. It was designed by Norman and Foster architect. And yeah, as you can see, architects don't only deal with buildings, but you can go as far as designing bridges. By the way, this bridge, I don't know if you guys know the Eiffel Tower, but this bridge is roughly 62 meters taller than the Eiffel Tower. So it's very tall. It's very tall. And when you're driving on that road, you're very high. And you could also be involved in designing the next Mars cities. So lately we've been seeing a lot of rockets take off, going to space. People are curious. People want to know things, you know. And architects also can be involved in designing those cities that are going to be on Mars. I know Mars is very far, but it would be actually a very big honor to design something on Mars, you know. So architects can actually even get involved in doing such things, designing cities on Mars. Also, it doesn't end there. I've been following a couple of architects, and this was one of my biggest like it was just something that I was very curious about. So this one time I happened to watch a documentary about F1, and when they were showing Monte Carlo, I was just curious that, okay, these yachts, like, where do you even get a designer, someone who does this? And when I followed a couple of architects, I realized that actually some of them the people that design these yachts are some people who actually have a background in architecture. So architects don't only do buildings, you go as far as designing yachts. I mean, if there's something I love about yachts is the fact that you get a different view every day, you know. Today I could be sitting in the yacht, working inside it, and in my little office space, and I'd be looking at the Bahamas island. Tomorrow I'd be somewhere else in the world. So it really fascinates me that, like, okay, this is the things that your architectural degree can actually get you into, you know. And you can also go into product design. Now, we tend to just take things for granted, you know, your appliances that exist in the house, your smeg that everybody loves. Actually, I purposely put this up here because it's a upcoming South African brand, and it's very beautiful. So it does, what's this product design? We can also go into it, you know. Like I said, nothing is actually by chance. Nearly everything that is around you that is designed by someone, as someone who has a background of architecture, you could actually go as far as also designing products. So yeah, I think these are the 4 things that I had to share with you guys. But there's actually many more stuff that you could still do. You could go into interior designing. You could become a political architect. Trust me, there's a lot of things. So architecture is quite broad. It's not limited to buildings. There's a lot of things that you can do with a degree. And that then brings me to who are our best friends as architects. And I put a caption down there saying an architect's best friends are their sketchbook and pen. And the reason I said this is simply because we have ideas, you know, we have a lot of ideas. We have a lot of ideas, and the best place to always store your idea is in a sketchbook. So I have like 4 sketchbooks. These are actually, this was an actual picture that I took. I own about 4 sketchbooks, and I use them for different things. One, I use it for taking my construction notes. The other one, I use it for design. The other one, I use it when I go to site. You know, the other one, I use it when I want to draw sketches, you know. So this is just an example of the things that I have in my sketchbooks. So as you can see, the one sketchbook, like I said, if there are things that really fascinate me or capture me, instead of taking a picture, I actually enjoy drawing what I see because there seems to be so much that you could capture by your hand than by just only taking a picture. So yeah, and the other one is one that the other 2, of course, when I'm designing stuff, like trying to be technical and trying to draw things to scale, I use my other 2 sketches. And this one over here that has a lot of notes, that's one that I actually use in school currently. That's my construction sketchbook. And whenever I want to understand detail or understand something, like, you know, sometimes you see certain things, but it's wrong to just assume that you understand. You need to draw it out actually to fully understand it, and you don't forget things when you like draw things out. So yeah, that's my construction sketchbook. Like I said earlier on, I use my sketchbooks to sometimes just take images and take pictures. That's one of the sketches that I did when I was in Durban at the beach. I happened to take that instead of taking a picture, and really means a lot to me, that sketch. So what happens then after, when you have an idea, when you've sketched it out, when you have like decided that this is what you really want to do? So ideas are then tested and finalized on CAD. So CAD stands for computer aided drafting. There's a lot of programs that we use in architecture in order to test our ideas and finalize them. So the reason we take our ideas from the sketchbooks onto the computer is that the computer is more accurate, you know, it's more accurate regarding certain measurements, regarding certain specifications. Like, you're able to show things very clearly because, I mean, not everybody can read my handwriting. So also not everybody can read my drawings. But then when you have a computer drawing, it makes it easy for other people to also understand that, oh, this is what he's actually doing. This is what he wanted to show us, you know. And yeah, this is where you test out your ideas. You could do 3D printing. You can build models with whatever you're doing on the computer. There's a lot of things that you can do on the computer. But remember this, the computer is a tool. The computer is a tool. It's not your first place to go when you have an idea. I would always recommend that the first place you go when you have an idea, go to your sketchbook, you know. That's where you're able to do things without being limited. Because what happens on the computer is that sometimes you don't know how to draw a particular shape. But if you just take a simple pen and you draw, it's very easy for you to get that shape. On the computer, it's a different story. So yeah, the computer is a tool, but your best friend, if you're gonna become an architect, is going to have to be your sketchbook and your pen. Yes. Moving on. Um, this is just an example of a computer-aided drawing. So when we do drawings on the computer, you need to show nearly everything. You need to show us how the roof works. You need to show us which walls are which ones, how deep do they go, what kind of foundations do they have. You need to show the windows. Everything needs to be detailed. You need to show the measurements. So like I said, nothing in architecture is by chance. Everything we do was calculated. Everything we do was like drawn, and it was like put into detail. So that's an example of a working drawing slash construction drawing. You need to show everything. So what do we do from sketchbook to the computer? Computer will produce drawings, and these are the drawings that you would submit at the municipality, and they would approve them and say, hey, you are good to go build your building. So that's what the working drawing is intended for. Now, the other thing that I have to say, is that architects do not work in isolation. So what I'm trying to say when I say architects don't work in isolation, your Bob the Builder, favorite cartoons, I might be old, but I still love them. But when I say architects do not work in isolation, is that when you're done with your drawings, when your drawings are approved, you need people to come into the picture and also help you to build whatever you have drawn, you know. As someone who's studying architecture, our biggest goal, well, nearly every child that I know out there, or every student that I know out there, it's the aim that whatever you draw, could it at least be built one day, you know. So whatever you draw, your aim at the end of the day is, could that specific thing be built? And that's where Bob the Builder comes in. Bob the Builder comes in with his team, and they're the guys that actually build this specific building, and they make sure that the drawings look like what they are building, you know, at the end of the day. So architects alone, there's a whole team. You've got your engineers, you've got your quantity surveyors, you have your electricians, your electricians, you've got a whole team, plumbing, you know, it's a whole team. So architects don't work alone. Architects always work with who? Bob the Builder. I call my builders, I call every builder that because I really love them for what they do. So yeah, architects don't work alone. So if you're curious what Bob the Builder does, Bob the Builder is responsible for the construction of your building. This is a picture of a nuclear plant that's been constructed. So we can't do this as architects. We are able to draw everything that you see, you know. We are able to design, we are able to do all of these beautiful building structures, but we can't build. We need another team to come in and build. And like I said earlier on, that's where Bob the Builder comes into the picture and helps us to build these kind of buildings. And then um, now I want you guys to start listening, because this is going to be an intro before your game, right? We're going to play a little game, right? And I hope you have your colors. I hope you have your pencils, erasers. This is going to be a game that you guys are going to play, right? At this rate, you will ask me questions only after we are done with the game, right? So I'll tell you when to do what. So here's the first thing I want to teach you guys, right? Here's the first thing that I want to teach you guys. So normally when I approach a house, right? If I come, I hope you guys can see my mouse. If I come from this side of the house, the bottom, let's look at the bottom picture, picture, right? If I come from that side of the house, I could call that side the front of the house, right? And if someone else also comes from the other side, the top picture, right? they could call that the front of the house because they would say that, but I came in from this side, this is the front. Why would you call that the back and why would I call that the front? So there's this confusion of, okay, then where's the front of the house? Where's the back of the house, right? So I'm gonna teach you something small in architecture that we use to help us to know where is where, right? So like I said, you could tell me that the top picture of this house over here is the front, and I could also tell you that the bottom picture is also the front, you know. So it'll be a whole discussion, a whole debate, and we might never really come to a conclusion, right? So what I have there for you, sorry I didn't say it, but that's a floor plan, and that's a floor plan showing a little sitting room, kitchen, bathroom, and bedroom. And then the house looks like that on the outside. So yeah, we could have this confusion of, oh, that's the back, that's the front. So in architecture, to avoid that confusion of saying, but this is the front, this is the back, there's this thing that we call the north point, right? We use that thing specifically to show us what is the certain sides of the house, right? So, for example, when we look at this house, right? If someone had to ask you on which side of the house is north, you would tell them that it's the top image, the top picture. That's the northern side of the house. But in architecture, we don't use side, you know, to refer to a side of a house. I don't know how to put that, but we don't say side. We use this word called elevation, right? So you would say that that's part of the house. The one that you see on top up there, you would say that that is the north elevation, right? And then you would see the image of the house on the on my my right and left. I always have an issue with this. But with the image on the right hand side, you would call that your east elevation. And the bottom image, this side of the house, we would call that your south elevation. And then this part of the house over here, you would call that your west elevation. Any building that you see designed, any structure, any hotel, be it a mall, be it any kind of building that you can think of, right? It always uses this principle. We use this principle to identify certain sides of that particular building by saying, this is the north elevation, this is the east elevation, this is the south elevation, and that is the west elevation. Even your house, if you can get where's the north point of your house, you would then start knowing that, oh, okay, so that side that we always come in from, the garage side and everything, oh, that's the northern side. And then you'd go like the kitchen side, that's the white, that's the south side, that's the south elevation of the house, you know. Any building, it uses this principle to know which side is which side. That's something that you learn throughout your architecture journey. I wish I could teach you guys how to design, but that's a process. So only today's game is only gonna be based on this this north point, this north point that I'm teaching you guys. So the other thing that I never told you guys is that where wherever the arrow always faces, that's north. Wherever the arrow always faces, that's always north. Even if it's at another angle like that, that will always be north. That angle, it will still be north. If it's pointing downwards, it will still be north. Wherever the arrow faces, that's called north. The second thing that I want to tell you guys is that this north point thing, right? Sometimes when you get it on a drawing, you won't get the north, east, southwest thing. You would only get just the northern part of it, right? But then to always know what is where, the top part, right? We move clockwise. You know how your watch moves, the one that you have on the wall? I don't know if some of you guys still wear watches, but if you do and it's an analog watch, we always move clockwise. Always move clockwise. And that's how, if they only give me a north point, I'm able to say, oh, that side of the arrow, that's the east. That side of the arrow is the south. That side of the arrow is the west. We always move clockwise. You never, and I mean never, you never move the other way around. You don't name it this way, you name it going this way, right? So if I were to rotate this thing and my north was looking over there, and the bottom part would be east, So that's how this north point works. So for your game, I'm gonna scramble the house a bit, and I'm gonna also stop sharing for now, right? The reason I have to stop sharing, I just want to make sure that everybody has got at least a pencil or eraser or color, because what we're about to do is an exercise that needs you to draw and to think, right? So I'm just gonna, because I really want to make sure you guys have everything. So this is what's gonna happen now, right? Please, do you guys have a paper? Does everybody have a paper? If you're sitting on the couch, I see other kids sitting on the couch, get a paper, get a little paper. Okay, do you have a pencil at least? Get a pencil, get an eraser, get a pencil, eraser, paper. I want everybody to get just these three, and colors also, right? I'm gonna give you guys at least 2 minutes to sort out yourself, all right? Paper, a notebook, pen, eraser, and some colors, yeah. We're gonna play a little exercise before we go into the question part. I'm gonna give you 2 minutes, 2 minutes. Got 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. Okay, because I'm gonna ask you guys at the end to actually give me a thumbs up to show that you have everything. So yeah, about a minute remaining now. I hope you all gathering your stationery, because yeah, you really need it for this exercise, right? Thirty seconds remaining. Over there at Lungile and Likhe, the other boy is not back and we're about to start. Can you just call him? Okay, it's back. All right. Okay, give me a thumbs up. I want to see you in your cameras. Everybody, I want to see your cameras to show that you have your stationery. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. I'm looking at all the cameras. Give me a thumbs up. Okay, we all have it. All right. So we're gonna go back to our presentation, right? Let me just share my screen. Okay, let me do that. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna start right now, right? I think my camera moved. Oh, okay, it's okay, it's okay. All right. Let's do that. Okay, so I'm gonna repeat this once before we start our game, right? Remember, we move what? We only move clockwise, right? It's always north, east, south, west. Always move clockwise. Clockwise. You can look at your watch if you don't know how to clockwise, but we always move clockwise. And it's always what? North, east, south, west. And then the other thing is that I don't know if you guys can memorize or write down the words north elevation, east elevation, south elevation, and west elevation. You can write it down somewhere, wherever you want to, because all of these words that you see on the screen, they're gonna disappear. They're gonna disappear. And I don't want you guys to have an issue remembering where is what. So you just write down these words somewhere on a paper, But remember, what you see currently on the screen is not always going to be like that in the game, right? So yeah, I just want you guys to just finish writing down. I'll just give you 30 seconds to write down this thing. North elevation, east elevation, south elevation, and west elevation. Yeah, just write them down somewhere. Just remember these words. Okay. Give you guys 15 more seconds. Okay, we are going to start our little game. So our game is called Aki Game 1, and it's called Elevations, right? Remember, I was teaching you what earlier on? I was teaching you guys elevations, right? We're gonna work with elevations. So I hope you guys wrote down those words somewhere because yeah, our game is starting in a few. And we're gonna begin our game now. So like I said earlier on, right? Like I said earlier on, wherever the arrow is pointing, that will always be your north, right? And we're working what? Clockwise, right? Don't write anything as yet. The game hasn't started. I'll tell you, I'll give you the instructions now, right? So the game is very simple. Well, I want to believe it's simple. But the game is very simple. It's simple in the sense that I'm gonna ask you guys to identify certain elevations, but you're not gonna write it down. You're gonna have to draw that elevation, right? And it will the game will begin now. So there's your arrow, right? There's your arrow. I've told you that whenever the arrow is pointing somewhere, that is what? Yes, that's what it is. And I want you guys to draw for me the west elevation of this house. So when I say elevation, I just want you to draw one of the sides of the houses that shows that this is the west elevation, right? I'm gonna put a timer, and I want you guys to draw the west elevation. So it's just the side of a house, right? So you can draw it straight like that, or you can draw it as you see it on the screen. But then I want you guys to draw for me the west elevation. Your time starts now, and I'm giving you 3 minutes, 2 minutes actually. Yes, 2 minutes. Let's draw it quickly. Draw it quickly, right? And you don't have to be perfect. Draw the west elevation. I want you guys to draw the west elevation. So yeah, you have 2 minutes to do this. Don't have to be perfect. You can scribble like me, you know, it's a nice thing about architecture. You don't have to be perfect, just scribble. So draw your west elevation. I want to see if you guys remember the things I was teaching you about the elevations. Think about it. Remember, I told you that wherever the arrow is pointing, that's your yes. And we always move what? Clockwise when we name these other parts of the circles that I covered, you know. So over here, it's something, over here, it's something, over here, it's something. But I want you from the house to draw the west elevation. You guys have a minute remaining. You have 1 minute remaining. West elevation. Which one is it? I'm counting down now. 30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop. Stop. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing the screen, right? And I wanna see from all the cameras, I see from all the cameras what you guys drew. Okay.
I'm done.
Okay.
Mine is the
Okay.
next thing. Mufara Wedu, let's see.
Okay. All right. Okay. I see.
Lungile, get closer to the camera. Get closer. We can't see. Ah,
All right,
evidence. Evidence. Darius
Okay.
B and Tadiswa, we can't
I've
see.
seen. Okay. I'm not gonna ask.
Hello.
So you guys are sure.
This
You're sure about what you drew, right? You are sure about what you drew.
Me, I'm sure.
Okay. We're gonna reveal the answer now, right?
Tadi, we can't see. Vinsley, we can't see. Seth,
Vinsley.
put your camera on. Darius, put your camera on.
Okay.
Okay. Galaxy A, put your camera on. Wakang. Galaxy Tape A, we can't see. Are you drawing now? Nontobego,
Okay.
Nontobego, your camera is off. Nontobego. Tashinga, always off. Come on, put it on, let's see. Winnie Mabuza. All right.
Okay, Shepard. I think we can reveal the answer now. I'm gonna share my screen, right? I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna jump back to the presentation. So yeah, Shepard, it's showing, right?
Yes.
The screen is showing. Okay. So we're gonna reveal what is the waist elevation. 3, 2, 1. There's the waist elevation. It's the bottom one.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. Let me see.
I got it.
You got it? Okay.
Who didn't get it? Let's confess. Who didn't get it?
Who didn't get it? Just show me.
Rene and Mapanzura, you didn't get it.
What happened?
Nagabongo, what did you get?
Okay, let's
good.
Let's
good.
see. What did you draw? What did you draw? Let's see.
What did you draw?
Put it on the screen.
Move it closer. Yeah, you got it also. I saw it. There. No, look at it.
How come it has windows?
We're moving. It seems like
That's what it had.
no, it didn't have any. It didn't have any windows.
It's this
Okay. It's not supposed to have any windows.
Oopsie. Sorry.
Yeah.
But it has.
I got confused.
Okay. All right. We're moving on to our next elevation, right? Moving on to our next elevation now. Now remember, do not cram or memorize what you see on the screen, right? Don't do that. Because if you do that, you're going to get confused. I'm going to scramble everything again on the screen, right? So your next challenge, I want you guys to draw for me the east elevation. I want you guys to draw for me the east elevation. And your time starts in 3, 2, 1. Start drawing. I want you to draw the east elevation. East elevation. You have 1 minute 45 seconds remaining. One minute 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. 1 minute. Quick, quick. Go this quick. Remember, you don't have to be perfect. You can just scribble, but as long as I'm able to see what exactly is your east elevation. "45 seconds remaining. "30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and stop drawing. Stop drawing, stop drawing, stop drawing, stop drawing. Everyone stop drawing. I want you guys to show me which one is the east elevation. I want to see the east elevation, east elevation. Okay.
Alicia and Ezial and myself, we got it.
Okay, okay. Are you sure, Shepherd?
Don't tell me I'm wrong.
I'm just saying, it could be anything else, eh?
Don't tell me I'm wrong.
East elevation, east elevation. Okay, okay. Looking at everybody else. Okay, okay. I'm impressed. I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
No, Kachela and Kaleleo, Ria,
Kim. Okay.
Vinsley doesn't.
Yes. Okay.
Someone doesn't have a name here.
Okay, I think I've seen everybody now. We're about to reveal the answer, right?
Reveal.
I'm gonna share my
Yes.
share my screen.
Let's see.
Let's say share screen. No, not this, not me. Yes, there. Okay. I'm about to reveal the east elevation, right? 3, 2, 1. There's the east elevation.
Yeah, got it. I got
Okay,
it.
you guys are quite smart. You're very smart. Okay, you guys are very, very smart.
Got it.
Right.
I didn't do two. I did.
I need to stop sharing. I want to see by the hand who got it wrong. Who got it wrong? Just show me by your hand. Just want to see your hand. Anybody who got it wrong?
Those who got it wrong, let's thank them. Me,
Okay,
I'm coming to thank you at your
we're gonna have to work on that.
I didn't get it wrong.
Let's see.
That's a joke. I didn't get it wrong. I didn't get it wrong. It was a joke.
Tine, let's see. Tine. Let's see, Tine. Show us. Tine, come on.
Let's see.
Let's see. Today, let's see.
Because Tina says it's a joke. Let's see.
Today. Mm.
Oh, okay. Got it right. He just scratched it out. I can see that. Okay. All right. We're moving on to our last elevation now, right? We're moving on to our last elevation. Okay, I'm about to share the screen right now with you guys. We have one more elevation. Let me share the screen. Okay. So for your last elevation, let me just see if this was the previous challenge. We're drawing east, right? Okay. I want you guys to draw for me the south elevation. The south elevation, right? And your time starts in 3, 2, 1, go. You have 2 minutes to do this. 2 minutes to draw the south elevation. 2 minutes to draw the south elevation. You're on 1 minute 45 seconds now. One minute 30. South elevation. 1 minute left. Forty-five seconds left. $30, 29, 28, 27, 26, 25, 24, 23, 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and everybody stop. Stop. Everybody stop. I'm about to ask. We were drawing what? We were drawing the south elevation, right? Drawing the south elevation. I'm looking at your cameras now. Okay, south, let's see. Okay, south. Oh, me. Okay. Okay, Galaxy Tab A. I'm a bit concerned, but I'm not gonna say much.
Tumba. Come on, shorts.
Okay.
Tumba.
Strive. Okay, I see. Lungile, just get close to the camera. Okay, south. Okay, I see.
Magabongo, we can't see you.
Shepherd, are you sure? Are you sure, Shepherd?
Don't do that to me. This. Don't tell me I'm wrong.
No, I'm not saying much. Okay. All right, we're gonna review. We're gonna review the answer now, right? I'm about to share the screen. Just a few seconds. Okay.
Yeah, V, that's nice. V actually showed us the map.
I'm sharing the screen now. Okay, just do that. Share screen. Yes. So we're drawing what? We're drawing the south elevation, right? I'm gonna reveal the answer in 3, 2, 1. And let's see what is the south elevation. Okay, there's the south elevation.
Yay, I got it. I got it.
There's the south
I got
elevation.
it. I got it. I got it. Mufaro.
All right. Let me just see.
I got it.
Let me just see how many got it right. Give me a thumbs up. I want to see who got it right. Thumbs up. Okay, quite a lot of you got it right. Okay, well done, well done, well done. So I want to see who got all 3 correct. Who got all 3 correct? I want you to wave this time. Who got all 3 correct?
Obvious, me.
Wow, you guys are very smart. You are very, very smart. Well done. I'm very happy.
Obvious,
Well
it's
done. Okay, so this then brings us to the end of our presentation. And I think now it's time to ask questions. Oh, by the way, this is just another building that I designed this year when doing my school project. So everything that you see in the picture, the trees, the street lamps, the people, we had to put them there, you know, and also the flowers, everything. That's what you do when you do architecture. You design everything that you see in that picture. So that then brings me to the end of my presentation. And at this moment, I'll start taking questions. Yes, I'll start taking questions. Feel free to ask anything. You can unmute your mics. I don't know. Are we going to unmute them whenever they ask a question?
They can unmute themselves, but Lael.
Oh, they can unmute themselves. Okay.
Lael is the one
who's going.
Lael is the one who's going to tell us who is going to ask a question.
Okay.
So you can lift your hands on the platform like this, or you can use the icon.
Change to the icon and lift your hand. It's not like unmuted and speaking.
Okay. So I'll start taking questions. I don't know. Should we? How do we do this, Shepard, in a very constructive way? Should they raise their hands up?
Yeah. Okay.
In the chat.
Yeah. Evidence.
Put their hands on the screens.
Okay, the hands on the screen. Okay.
Some
Does everybody knows how to do that, right?
Yeah. Some lift on the chat, some lift on the screen. So every direction it works.
Okay. All right. So the first person that we are taking is Faith Guara. Yes, Faith Guara. Can you please unmute your mic? Okay.
I want to ask if what does CAD mean?
CAD. Okay, I think that's the term that you saw when I showed you the little office, and I was like, we take our ideas from sketching, then we put them on the computer and test them on CAD. That's what I said, right? It was that part of the, okay. So CAD stands for computer aided drafting, right? CAD stands for computer aided drafting. There's a lot of programs that we use in architecture when we do our work, right? There are programs like AutoCAD, there are programs like ArchiCAD. These are the programs that we use on computers to take whatever we sketched and to test it out on the computer, right? I'm just trying to do something for you because I don't want to leave you like not knowing. Like I just want to give you an example, right? Of what. Then basically, like, but what I said, CAD stands for computer aided drafting. Computer aided drafting. Yes, these are softwares that you use on the computer to draw whatever you sketched more accurately, like to make it look more, how can I put this, make it more, yeah, accurately is the word that I would use, honestly. Yeah. So I'll give you an example, right? The last time I checked, I'm able to always share my screen with you guys, right?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you an example. I'm just waiting for my program to open up. It'll open up in just give it 5 seconds. It'll open up very quickly and I'll share with you guys on my screen. It's computer aided drafting, right? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I think it's ready now. Okay, going to share my screen just now. It's a good question though to ask what is CAD. Yeah. Don't worry, next time you can just say CAD. We always refer to it as CAD, right? You don't have to say CAD. You can just always call it CAD. So for example, here's an example, right? I'm sharing my screen now. And do that. I'm sharing my screen now. So for example, this is a program that you would use to draw buildings, right? It would have all of these other things on your left-hand side. This is one of the programs. There's a lot of them, right? I don't know. Can you see what's happening on your screen? Can you see everything?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this is the program that you would use, right? There are walls, there are doors, there are windows, there's a slab, there's a lot of things that you would do, that you would use on this program in order to draw your buildings that you want to draw and to make them look very accurate and precise, you know. So what I'm drawing here is 2D, right? When I say 2D, I mean it's two-dimensional. 2D means that how can I put this for you? The side of a square is 2D, right? And then if we turn it into a cube, that's 3D. So what you're seeing here, I'm drawing things in 2D, but what the program does for me, it starts drawing everything for me in 3D, right? So this is what I'm actually drawing. What you saw over here on the ground floor, everything that you see here that I'm drawing is what you see over here on the 3D part of the computer. So this is a CAD program that you would use to draw whatever you're drawing. It's not in the best of colors. I didn't really work on my colors as much, but I don't know if you can see them. I was not really working on the colors, but I just want to
They're
put it in
fine.
black and white.
It
No,
looks
they are
too
not.
complicated.
So what I can actually do, I can actually even take you guys into the building, you know, and just show you what exactly is happening in the building. So I can move with you guys in the building. I could climb the stairs with you guys in the building. Everything that you see in this building is actually designed, you know, it's designed by an architect. I'm still a student, so I'm learning to be
So
an
is this a
architect,
house?
right? So this is a Green Hub Innovation Center. This is where people would come to create, do all of these ideas that have to do about saving the world. You know, if it's what can we do with, instead of wasting water, what can we do to save water? Like there are people that actually come and meet here, and they would have meetings. They would have all of these things to make sure that okay, these ideas are things that we can use to make the world a better place, right? I'm actually just thinking, no. I'm actually just thinking that is there another project that I can show you guys? Well, nah, I don't really have. I think, yeah, let's say, don't save, yeah. But like I said, CAD is a program that you use in order to draw your work and show it more precise and accurately, yeah. So these are programs that we use. Let's take it to the next question actually, because it's gonna take time opening this. Let's go to the next question. So I'm going
So
to
you need to clarify for us if is it computer aided design or computer aided drafting?
It's aided drafting.
Drafting. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yes, computer aided drafting.
All right.
Yes. The next hand. The next. See Galaxy J4 Core.
Say hi,
Hi.
Welcome.
Hello, hello. Oh, there. Yeah, I see. Okay, talk.
I wanted to ask which are the best schools to go to learn about architecture and stuff like that, to become an architect here in
Okay,
South Africa.
okay. So it's a tricky question what you asked, but then I'll tell you. I think currently the top university in Africa, well, since we are based in South Africa, I think it's the University of Cape Town. That's the best currently. If I remember, there was a list that came out, and they're good at what they do. The other university, the Wits University, and I forgot which one was the third one on that list. But nearly all the universities in South Africa offer you architecture. You know, if you go to UFS, you have architecture. If you go to NMMU, I'm not. Did you ask about UNISA? I'm not sure about UNISA. I haven't checked. But it's normally a full-time thing. It's normally a full-time thing. So I'm not really sure about UNISA. But then, like I said, those what NMMU, Nelson Mandela Metropolitan University, UJ, WITS, UCT, the Durban University of Technology, UKZN. There's a lot of universities that offer architecture, but let me tell you this, right? It's not that easy to get into architecture. And I'm saying this because I know that it takes time, in the sense that when you apply, you don't just give them your grade 11 results and then they, just immediately offer you a space whatsoever. But then normally when you apply for architecture, they would first accept you because of the marks that you have. And then secondly, they would ask you to go do a little exercise, right? Maybe they would ask you to create a model. Maybe they would ask you to draw the road from your home to school, but they don't ask you to draw it in like 2D. They actually ask you to draw everything that you see when you're moving from like home to school, in one picture, you know. Normally you take a video in order to do that, but they would want you to capture everything that you see in one picture. The other thing that they would make you to do, I remember the one time they made me use recycled materials also to, like I said, create a model, and if they like your work, remember you're in matric by this time when you're submitting this work. If they like your work, then they invite you for an interview, right? And when they invite you for an interview, you're gonna come there, you're gonna show them your work, you're gonna explain your work now to them and tell them that this is why I did this is why I did that, that's why I thought of this idea. They ask you a lot of questions, and when they are happy with your interview, when they're satisfied with the way you could describe your work, then you would have to wait until your final matric results come out. And based on what they said from the interview, they would say, okay, we like your work, right? But then it's not the last answer. The last answer would be based on your matric results. So you can get accepted, but then when your matric results come out, find out that, oh, your marks are not good enough, and they can take back that whole interview. They're like, sorry, we can't give you a place anymore. So it's a process. I would say it's an 8-month process thing, because applications normally start in March, and then you'd only get your final answer the next year in January. Well, things are different this year because of COVID, but just follow closely with the university that you want to study at. Yeah. Did I answer everything? She's muted.
Yeah, I also wanted you take to get into
Okay.
architecture. What do you
So lately I've seen that it's since they don't offer them anymore, maths and physics. Those are the subjects that you need actually if you want to be considered for architecture, maths and physics. Because what happens is that in first year, you do what we call, in first year, you do what we call applied maths, and that's basically maths and physics, you know. So sometimes if you don't have that background, it becomes very difficult, but it's compulsory that you take, sorry, it's compulsory that you take maths and physics. Those are the subjects that I'd recommend. As for English, I haven't checked if it's home language or first additional, but of course, we all take English at some point. You can't really leave high school without English. But maths and physics, those are the most critical subjects that I would say are needed for architecture. Yeah. You answered?
What is a beam?
What is that?
A beam.
A
Beam.
beam, B-E-A-M, right? Beam, right? Okay, so a beam is something that supports. Right, sorry, there's a lot of things happening on my screen. So a beam is what supports. Okay, look at my hands, right? You're looking at my hands, right? So we have columns, right? We have columns, and then we have a beam that sits on top of the column. So the beam is a concrete material, or should I say, a concrete material that would move from one side to the other side. That is held up by two columns. A beam also supports a floor. If you're gonna put a floor, like make a double story, you need beams to hold that floor. If you don't have beams and columns, it might fall in at some point, you know. So a beam is what holds up a slab. Normally, it's a concrete structure that holds up a slab. Yeah, for either a floor or but beams come in many ways also, you know. But for now, I'll just say that you have columns and then you have a beam, and the beam is there to support the slab that is going to sit there.
And then evidence is a question.
Okay, I wanted to show him an example.
Okay.
Just a second. So I want to show you an example. What is a beam, right? Just a second. I'm just waiting for this to open up. It's nearly open, and yeah, I'm sharing my screen now. Oh, okay. Okay, I'm gonna share my screen now for you to show you exactly what is a beam. Share screen, share. Okay, so let's do this, right? I'm gonna show you something very quickly. I'm gonna highlight all the walls and delete them. So you see my building, right? This is my building. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
I hope.
Yes.
Okay. Can you see the screen, right? Okay. So in a building, there are certain things that hold up. Yeah, there are things that hold up each other, right? So what you see over here that I'm touching, that is a column, right? That's a column. The beam is this. These are beams. You see these things that are line horizontal, right? Those are
Yes.
beams. Yes. Yes, those are beams. So these are columns and these are beams. Beams and columns work hand in hand. You cannot have a building that's got beams but then doesn't have columns, you know. So it's advisable most of the time that you have columns and beams. So as you can see, from floor to floor, it's like the skeleton of the building, you know, the columns and the beams. It's what holds up the whole building. Can you see that? Can you see that?
Yes.
Yes, so that is a beam. So I hope I answered you. Did I answer you?
Yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. Evidence.
What?
Right.
Evidence is hand up.
Okay. But I see Tine. Is it Tine? Is that Tine?
Yeah, evidence has been lifting up on the screen. Yeah, we'll come to
Okay,
Tine.
okay. Oh, okay. Evidence. Unmute yourself. Unmute.
Evidence, you're muted.
Evidence. Can you please unmute yourself? Yeah, it's unmuted now. Okay. What's your question?
I was asking how many days can you finish a building?
Okay, how many days does it take to finish a building? So, so your answer, I can't give you an exact answer, you know, because buildings are not all the same, right? That's the first thing we need to understand. But if you were to build a house, it could take you a month, it could take you 2 weeks, it could take you, you know, it's a matter of what material are you using to build your house and how big is the house or how big is the building, right? So there are some houses, they take even a year to build, some even take 3 years to build, you know. It depends what material are you using, and it depends what kind of structure, how big is the structure, you know. So I wish I could give you an answer and say buildings always take 5 months, but the reality is sometimes buildings can take even 3 years or 5 years to build. So that's the answer that I can give you. Are you answered?
All right, Tine,
Okay, all right.
let's go to
Tine?
Tine.
My question is, can you be a specialist in all four things?
When you say all four things, what do you mean? I want to know.
In building, so that you can build buildings, you can build
Okay,
bridges, you can build
okay.
uh,
Oh, okay, I
you
understand
can
your,
be a
yeah,
designer and yeah.
okay. I understand your question. So when you become an architect, right, you're not limited to only building houses, right? You're not limited to only
Yeah.
building houses. You can build, as an architect, people come to you, those are your clients. They always come to you and they're like, oh, Tine, can you please design for me? Sorry, you don't build as architects, we design. They can say, Tine, can you please design for us a stadium today, right? And you would do that, you would design it and you'd get it correct. And then another client might come and say, oh, Tine, can you please design for us a railway station, you know? So when you become an architect, you are not limited to anything. You can design as much as you want, you know. You can be design. Oh yeah.
So it means you can even design a car.
Oh no, that's a different. That's a different design field, you know, because that has to do with engineering also, you know. Because with architects, remember architecture, you design things that don't move, right? You
Yeah.
design things that don't move. But then, like I gave you guys the presentation earlier on, I said that you can still take whatever you have been taught in architecture and ask to be taught how to design things that move. So your yards that I said, the products that I said, you know, you can ask people to teach you that, okay, I have a background of architecture, but I want to know what can I do to design cars? What can I do to design yachts? What can I do to design products? You know, what can I do to design bridges? And the people that know better how to design those things will guide you with your architectural knowledge on how to do those other things, you know. So like I said earlier on, architecture doesn't really limit you to buildings, but you have to make sure that you are guided by other people who know better in that design field, how you can take your architectural skills and be taught how to jump from one field to the other. Yes. So design is very
Okay.
broad. Design is very broad. Yeah. So I don't know. Are you
My
answered?
Yes, I'm answered. My dad is an architect and he works with the Department of Health, building health
Yes,
facilities.
I managed to see that in the chat. It's just that earlier on I couldn't answer because I was running the presentation. But I saw that comment in the chat. Hey, I was reading it actually, Yeah, that's very nice, honestly. Very, very nice. I mean, you get to see how things are done and all of these things, how do they come together? So if I were you, I'll just tell you that yeah, be his best friend and you learn a lot of things. So yeah,
All right, Magabongwe, your hand is up.
Maka.
Be an architect when I grow up because I'm good at designing things.
Okay, that's good, man. I'd like to have you on my team also.
Matemba is raising up his hand.
There was a comment with my
Metembe, there's Metembe also, the hand is up. Metembe, shoot.
Okay.
How many buildings have you designed?
How many buildings have I designed? Oh, that's a very good question. Honestly, I lost count. I lost count because I believe that your question is not also limited to the things that I do at school. So there was a time where I did work, for like 6 months, but I did so many buildings in that short space of time. It's the same buildings that I would have done when I was busy studying. So it's a lot of buildings. You lose count, trust me, you lose count. I wish I could tell you a definite answer, but I've honestly I've lost count. There's a lot.
All right, who else has a question?
Okay, is there anybody else who has a question? Comment?
Oh, so we can close.
Okay.
You guys are happy. Are you happy?
You guys are happy. Yeah. I think you can unmute.
Architects. All right, so listen, guys, for those who don't have data, if mommy and daddy are closer to you and they're listening, for those who do not have data, ask mommy or daddy to WhatsApp me if they do not have data for you to be joining these platforms every Saturday. If they have data, then it's fine. We're trying to make a plan that people can help us to get data for you guys, right? So if mommy and daddy can afford, then it's fine. But if you have friends or anyone whom you know can join this and benefit but cannot afford data, please let mommy and daddy send me a message. My number is on the advertising cards that we distribute online. On the posters, my number is there. So they just drop me a message, right? And if mommy and daddy wants to help with airtime for others who cannot afford, they can also get in touch with me, right? There's some parents, your parents who have actually approached me that they can donate to other people. So if your mom and dad wants to do the same, please let them get in touch with me. Then we can help other young friends like yourselves. Okay. All right. Tumba, your hand is up. What's up? Yes, Tumba.
Can unmute, Tumba, unmute. Unmute yourself.
Yes.
Okay.
Your number is where?
Your dad
it's on the
my
poster.
number. It's on the poster. On the poster, your dad has my number. Yes.
On the chat. It's on the chat.
Did anyone put it on the chat? On the poster where the poster that we send to parents for, yeah, 0734385545. You can WhatsApp me.
Say it again. I can write it.
073.
His number is in the chat.
It's there, it's on the chat. It's on the chat.
438.
438.
5545. 5545. All right. Oh, where did Lael go? Lael disappeared.
Yes.
He's there, but his video's off.
Lael.
Yes.
Over to you, sir.
Okay, I'll ask
Thank Uncle Ipfi. Thank Uncle Ipfi for.
Thank you, Uncle
You're
Makuya.
welcome. You're welcome.
We had interest. I'll ask Maka to pray.
Marka, can you please unmute yourself?
Bagabonga, can you please
Pray, Malabongwe. Pray.
Pray, Marka.
God of heaven and earth, please bless us. Please forgive us from our sins. Please heal us. Please wash us from our sins. Please make us be good. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Thank you,
Amen.
guys.